Hello, hello! Day 36, and we're jumping straight into functional programming. Feeling pretty excited. I just did a morning workout, so feeling a little bit stiff, not gonna lie. A little lightheaded as well. Got some water, so we're gonna see how that goes. I hope you guys are doing well. We're nice and early for a change, like way earlier than we normally are. So that's cool. Trying to like mix things up, see what works best. So much positivity, so much support yesterday. Wow, you guys are absolutely incredible. All of you doing the 100 Days of Code Challenge. I absolutely love this community. Such an honor to be a part of it. And I'm glad to see that quite a few of you found what I wrote motivational, in a sense. That's really cool. Cool. So let's jump straight into functional programming. So what is functional programming? What are we going to be covering? Functional programming is an approach to software development based around the evaluation of functions. Like mathematics, functions in programming map input to output to produce a result. You can combine basic functions in many ways to build more and more complex programs. Functional programming follows a few core principles. Functions are independent from the state of the program or global variables. They only depend on the arguments passed into them to make a calculation. Functions try to limit any changes to the state of the program and avoid changes to the global objects holding data. Functions have minimal side effects in the program. The functional programming software development approach breaks a program into small testable parts. This section covers basic functional programming principles in JavaScript. Cool. So learn about functional programming. Functional programming is a style of programming where solutions are simple, isolated functions without any side effects outside of the function scope. As in, you can do whatever inside of them and they're not going to affect anything else. It's like isolated. So you have an input, you process it, you get an output. Straightforward. Functional programming is about isolated functions. There's no dependence on the state of the program, which includes global variables that are subject to change. Pure functions, the same input always gives the same output, and functions with limited side effects. Any changes or mutations to the state of the program outside the function are carefully controlled. The members of Free Code Camp happen to love tea. Do we love tea? What about coffee, guys? Oh well, I guess tea is like a good second. In the code editor, the prepare tea and get tea functions are already defined for you. Call the get tea function to get 40 cups of tea for the team and store them in the T for team FTC variable. It's a very interesting variable name. Aww, it's like a little sad face here. So you want me to get 40 cups of tea. So get tea 40. Oh geez, look how many cups of tea we're gonna get. It's interesting. So this is an anonymous green tea. Interesting. Cool. Well, there's that. Nicely done. Understand functional programming terminology. The FCC team had a mood swing. What is going on? And now wants 2 types of tea. Oh no. Tea or riot? How about coffee? Watch, next they're gonna ask for coffee. Green tea and black tea. General fact, client mood swings are pretty common. Thank you for that. With that information, we will need to revisit the getT function from the last challenge to handle various T requests. We can modify getT to accept a function as a parameter to be able to change the type of T it prepares. This makes getT more flexible and gives the programmer more control when client requests change. But first, let's cover some functional terminology. Callbacks are the functions that are slipped or passed into another function to decide the invocation of that function. You may have seen them passed to other methods, for example in filter. The callback function tells JavaScript the criteria for how to filter an array. Functions that can be assigned to a variable, passed into another function, or returned from another function just like any other normal value are called first-class functions. In JavaScript, all functions are first-class functions. The function that takes a function as an argument or return a function as a return value are called higher order functions, right? So we have like array for each and such. When the functions are passed into another function or returned from another function, then those functions which gets passed in or returned can be called a lambda. The only lambda I know is from Half-Life. That's interesting. Okay. So, what would you like us to do? Prepare 27 cups of green tea and 13 cups of black tea, and store them in the T for green team FCC and team for black team FCC variables, respectively. Note that the getT function has been modified, so it now takes a function as the first argument. Note, the data, the number of cups of tea, is supplied as the last argument. We'll discuss this more in the later lessons. Right, so... a long process to prepare black tea. Interesting. I like that they've done like actual like formatting for comments now, so that's really cool. So you can mouse over and it like tells you exactly what it is, number of required cups of tea. That's really cool. So we need black tea and we need green tea. There's the black tea. Where's the green tea? Do we not have a prepare green tea? Am I allowed to edit above? Wonder if I could just like type that in. It's a string, yeah. But they're not calling it anymore. So this is pretty much invalid if I'm not mistaken. So if we call it, we're just calling get t. The first one is gonna be green. Is it green? How did they spell it? They wanted exactly down here. So green tea, I guess. And then how many cups of green tea? 27 cups of green tea. And then we're going to do the same, but this time we're going to do black tea, and we're going to have 13 cups of black tea. Go. Is that all you want from us? Prepare tea is not a function. No, but are we calling a function? We're just passing a string on. We're not supposed to modify anything else, so we're just doing this. Hold on, they did say it takes a function as an argument. So if it's going to take a function as an argument, does that mean we can call... Are we supposed to use higher order functions here, like directly inside of it? Or do we call like prepare black tea? But we don't have a prepare green tea. Testosterone, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My god, I've been saying get tier. Okay, so we have prepare black tea, but we don't have prepare green tea. We don't have one. Can I... I'm trying to think now. Awesome. So where are you from again, Testosterone? Because I see you like often like both evenings and like mornings for my side. It's either like really early or really late for you right now. This was a bad time for me to start. I'm trying to like get into an earlier routine because I just did a bit of gym. Whoo! Now it's hitting me hard. So we got prepare black tea. We don't have a green tea function, and I don't think we can make one. Oh, I'm so blind. I didn't scroll up. What? It's there. It's been there all along. I was like, I only saw a prepare black tea, and I was like, do they want us to use a higher order in a return function or something? Do I have to make one? And then there you go. It's right there. So we just pass that on, and we should be fine. Great stuff. Belgium. It's 9 AM. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, we're pretty much the same. Whoa, what happened here? Why am I getting like an alert? What is going on? What the? This is like a wall of text. Holy shit, I don't think I've ever seen this much text in a curriculum before. Now we got an alert. Facebook, Glitter, what's that? Gitter, Reddit, Twitter, Medium, new tab, Netflix. For a moment, I thought this was like calling out all my tabs open. I was like, wait, no, hold on. I don't do Netflix. Most of these, sure, but not Netflix or Gitter. That was weird. What the hell? Awesome. So what you getting up to, Testosterone? Understand the hazards of using imperative code. Functional programming is a good habit. It keeps your code easy to manage and saves you from sneaky bugs. But before we get there, let's look at an imperative approach to programming to highlight where you may have issues. In English, and many other languages, the imperative tense is used to give commands. Similarly, an imperative style in programming is one that gives the computer a set of statements to perform a task. Often, the statements change the state of the program, like updating global variables. A classic example is writing a for loop that gives exact directions to iterate over the indices of an array. In contrast, functional programming is a form of declarative programming. You tell the computer what you want done by calling a method or function. JavaScript offers many predefined methods that handle common tasks, so you don't need to write out how the computer should perform them. For example, instead of using the for loop mentioned above, you could call the map method, which handles the details of iterating over an array, or for each, right? This helps to avoid semantic errors, like the off by one errors that were covered in the debugging section. Yes. Consider the scenario. You are browsing the web in your browser and want to track the tabs you have opened. Let's try to model this using some simple object-oriented code. Holy shit, it goes long. A window object is made up of tabs, and you usually have more than one window open. The titles of each open site in each window object is held in an array. After working in the browser, opening new tabs, merging windows, and closing tabs, you want to print the tabs that are still open. Closed tabs are removed from the array, and new tabs, for simplicity, get added to the end of it. The code editor shows an implementation of this functionality with functions for tab open, tab close, and join. The array tabs is part of the window object that stores the name of the open pages. Internship at the moment, working on Node.js API stuff. Lucky! I love APIs. I can't wait to start using them, I really can't. I feel I'm getting close. And then I'm going to be able to have some fun as well. And then I won't feel like I'm being left behind. Hope you're enjoying it at least. This was a mouthful. Wow. It's crazy. Whoever wrote this really loves imperative code. Or declarative code, or both. Instructions. Run the code in the editor. It's using a method that has side effects in the program, causing incorrect output. The final list of open tabs should be this long string, but the output will be slightly different. Work through the code and see if you can figure out the problem. Then advance to the next challenge to learn more. Wait, what? So we don't have to solve anything? It's like for once just read? How do you want me to... Do you want me to just run tests? There it is. If glitter... What's the issue with it? It should say FB Glitter, Reddit, Twitter, Medium, new tab, Netflix, YouTube, Vine. Oh, there's Gmail. Where's Vine? Workmail, Docs, free code cam. So just Vine is gone? That's weird. Is it because... Can we figure out why it's... Jeez, like, did they have to have such a massive example? I'm just already lost. You're trying to have me look at someone else's code. Work window, okay, social window, cool, video on, video window, that. It's hard, the Node.js stuff. Everything's hard, isn't it? Until it's easy. I think that's the beauty of it. Do you get anything that's being said here? I think the issue is where it ends on each one. What's supposed to happen is tab, 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 to erase part of the way. After working the browser opening new tabs mode, you want to print the tabs that are still open. Closed tabs are removed from the array and new tabs for simplicity get added to the end of it. So we didn't get a new tab. Gmail, okay, so FB, Gitter, Reddit, Twitter, Medium, those are part of the social sites. Then Netflix, YouTube. Oh, Netflix, YouTube. Then Gmail, Workmail, Docs, free code cam. We didn't get a new tab at the end of Netflix, YouTube. Can we figure out why? Because we didn't add a tab open here. I think there needs to be a tab open over here. There you go. That solved the problem. I'm assuming that's what was missing. So let's move on, and maybe they'll tell us what's up. If you haven't already figured it out, the issue is the previous challenge was the splice call in the tab close function. Unfortunately, splice changes the... Okay, not quite that. Changes the original array it is called on, so the second call to it used a modified array and gave unexpected results. This is a small example of a much larger pattern. You call a function on a variable, array, or an object, and the function changes the variable or something in the object. One of the core principles of functional programming is to not change things. Changes lead to bugs. It's easier to prevent bugs knowing that your functions don't change anything, including the function arguments or any global variable. That's why you don't want to change parameters. That makes sense now why ESLint points that out. The previous example didn't have any complicated operations, but the splice method changed the original array and resulted in a bug. Recall that in functional programming, changing or altering things is called mutation. Like the X-Men. You don't want to mutate things, so sometimes it's cool. And the outcome is called a side effect. So, really? Having a mutation is a side effect? So would you say the side effect of Deadpool's mutation, say, has regenerative capability? I mean, that's pretty cool. I'll take that side effect. A function, ideally, should be a pure function. Meaning that it does not cause any side effects. Let's try to master this discipline and not alter any variable or object in our code. Following the code for the function incrementer, so it returns the value of the global variable fixed value increased by 1. So we must not change fixed value. That is our incrementer. So what if we did this, right? What if we did return fixed value? Wait, if I do plus equal to 1, that's going to increment. Wait, if I did a variable fixed value plus equal to 1, that would increment fixed value. But because I'm returning it, is that still going to increment? No, I think it's going to change fixed value. So if I can't do a return, sorry, my mind's like a little bit mush now. So I'm going to rather do it in the most simplest way that I know. We're going to have a new variable. Let return value be fixed value plus equal to 1. That shouldn't mutate. Oh, but it does mutate. Hold on. Forgot. That's always mutation. Unless you create a copy. And the thing is, even if I do return value equal to fixed value, and then I change return value, there you go. So don't make changes to fixed value. Set return value as a copy of fixed value, then increment your return value. That way you're not changing fixed value. There we can return value plus equal to 1. That's what the incrementer wants to do, right? Do we need to increment by 1? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Great stuff. Pass arguments to avoid external dependence in a function. The last challenge was a step closer to functional programming principles, but there is still something missing. We didn't alter the global variable value, but the function incrementer would not work without the global variable fixed value being there. Another principle of functional programming is to always declare your dependencies explicitly. This means if a function depends on a variable or object being present, then pass that variable or object directly into the function as an argument. There are several good consequences from this principle. The function is easier to test, you know exactly what input it takes, and it won't depend on anything else in your program. This can give you more confidence when you alter, remove, or add new code. You would know what you can or cannot change, and you can see where the potential traps are. Finally, the function would always produce the same output for the same set of inputs, no matter what part of the code executes. Let's update the incrementer function to clearly declare its dependencies. Write the incrementer function so it takes an argument, and then increase the value by 1. So we're going to take value, which is val. Oh, apparently we're passing fixed value. I don't need to specify fixed value. I can still say val. And then we're gonna we're still gonna do our return value equal to val return value plus equal to 1. So that should work. Same as before. Great stuff. Refactor global variables out of functions. So far, we have seen two distinct principles for functional programming. Don't alter a variable or object, create new variables and objects, and return them, if need be, from a function. Declare function arguments. Any computation inside a function depends only on the arguments, and not on any global object or variable. Adding 1 to a number is not very exciting, but we can apply these principles when working with arrays or more complex objects. Refactor, rewrite, the code so the global array book list is not changed inside either function. The add function should add the given book name to the end of an array. The remove function should remove the given book name from an array. Both functions should return an array, and any new parameters should be added before the book name 1. Ooh, okay. Add book list, right. Remove book list, add. We can support multiple ones? Remove, add. Well, that's cool. So you're adding and removing? Look at those empty arrays. Okay, so the global array book list must never change. Let's first fix that out, shall we? So what's the best way for us to do this? Here's our book list. What is modifying our book list? Bad. That needs to change. Did I have a space? The remove function should remove the given book name. So we have add, we have remove, cool. Both functions should return an array, and any new parameters should be added before the book name one. Oh, that's going to be called book list. Am I allowed to change these though? Because they're saying add book list. Oh, I see what they want us to do. So, book array. I'm just going to call this book array. And they want us to add, and then it needs to return an array. So I guess the entire one. So we can't push. Let return array equal to book array, right? Then we're gonna return array dot push book name. I think that should literally be it. return array dot splice 0, 1 book name. Should that be it? Return array dot splice is not a function, but it is an array. Type of book array, object number. What is book array? Book array is the hound. Okay, so those are the book. Splice 0, that's the beginning. 0, 1, book name. Why are we getting a 6? Oh, because that's what splice returns, right? Hold on, splice does that. Can I just return the return array? Book array.splice is not a function. What do you want to do? At the end, the remove function should remove the given book name from an array. The splice should have the original value, shouldn't it? Oh. Hold on. Wait just a minute. Book array.splice 01 book name. There we go. So the hound was removed. What needed to be removed? On the electrodynamics of moving bodies. I forgot it twice. This is a copy of the original array, splicing it. Let me just see what... Book array.splice is not a function, yet it works fine? Is not a function? This is why I shouldn't do this. at this time. What if we used filter instead on the actual, oh. I'm just trying to think now, if we used filter, let's try filter, shall we? So filter would look something like this. We take our original book array, because we're not going to mutate it. Then we can call filter on it. Then we're going to have, should we do like, just do value here again, I guess. And then we're going to do return value not equal to book name. That should give us every book that, well, it should give us an array back excluding the book. Then we don't need all of this. We don't need their splice, unless they require me to use splice, but I don't think they will. So that should be all. Let's check. Bookarray.filter is not a function. What are you talking about? What is booklist? What is booklist? They pass in booklist. And their first parameter is booklist, no? Console.log book array. What is book array? Okay. Where'd you get the 6 from? Why is there 6 in there? So confused. Wait. What's happening here in this if? If the book list index of book name greater than equal to 0, as in if it does exist. Huh, okay, so they already got something there for us. I'm just trying to figure out, why is there a 6 there? We did have it tell us to give us a 6, did it? Console.log booklist. So where's there anything that... Is there a 6? Am I like missing something? Not even 6 elements. Okay, anyway, so our issue is apparently that bookarray.filter is not a function. Yes it is a function. Is this not an array? Did we try that already? Console.log type of bookarray? What is... It's an object and a number? How? I don't understand. Is this bugged? How is there an object and a number? Book array. Booklist, booklist, booklist. Am I missing something? Like, I really feel like I'm missing something. Because where's the 6? Is it the old splice code that it still remembers? BookArray.filter is not a function. Word of the day. Sentence of the day. I need to put this in my VS Code. I'm sorry, but I get an actual error message. Missing semicolon? Expected. Yeah, that I get. Missing semicolon. Remove is defined but never used. Right. Book list is not defined. Right, that's fine. Return array is assigned. That's fine. It's fine. Unexpected block statement surrounding arrow body. Move the return value immediately after the... You want me to rather make it a function instead? Like old school, so like we got our value without being an arrow function? No, not function to call, function. There, now you don't have to complain. Prefer arrow callback, really? Yeah, so there's no actual error here in VS Code. So making me wonder if this is just an issue on Free Code Camp. BookArray.filter is not a function! What am I doing wrong? Am I too tired for this today? I have a feeling the main reason is because BookArray is not a array. Like something has gone wonky internally for them. Because when you console.log BookArray, what if I console.log booklist? Then it's fine, but BookArray there's a number. Where? Please, I need to understand. I need to understand so badly. I think it's because of their splice. They didn't update this. I'm gonna go ahead and reset the code. And I bet you it's because of the splice. That's like hard-coded. Someone messed up somewhere badly with this one. The only explanation I could come up with. Because if I console.log this, cyclic object value, Swear, if that 6 makes a comeback. And then we just had what does that do? Let return array equal to book array. Return array dot push book name. New book list. Should have a brief history of return array dot push book name. What do you give us? Oh, and you get the value because you push. Okay. Am I logging anything else? I think I am. Oh. Push returns a number value. That's why. That's why I got confused. So push doesn't actually return the array. The return value of push so I have to do this first and then log return array after it's been processed. Brief history of time is added, but we have duplication. There's a lot of brief histories of time. 3 of them to be precise. Why is it repeated 3 times? 1, 2, 3. Is that normal? Oh, because we add a brief history of time there. Then we're adding a brief history of time there. There should be 2. Why is there 3? 1, 2. Oh, 1 already existed beforehand. You're adding the book 2 times and add. Yeah, I am. Sorry, that just confused me because I'm calling the log here. I figured out what the issue was. So I got to remember that the return value of push. So you can't. That's strange. I'm used to returning a value directly, but if you return .push, you will get the value as in the index of what it pushed, not the array, which is strange. So I have to first do the calculation, or sorry, rather call the method on it first, and then return that value, which seems a bit strange. I'm probably doing something wrong, and I'm going to check it when I get back later and be like, ah. What are you doing? Anyway, so that should be that solved. Then we need to add book array here. And then same as before. We're not going to return though, I guess. Let return array equal to book array.filter function value. What is this going to return though? Because I can't console.log return array, can I? Because it's gonna... Isn't it gonna return from the function? Let's see quickly. Do we call remove twice? Yeah, we do. So on the electrodynamics of moving bodies should be removed. That seems to work. Yeah, that worked. But why did we have an issue earlier where it said... Now we're not getting an error when we do bookarray.filter. Yeah, there must have been something wrong. This is my exact same function. So clearly something went wrong on FCC side, but now we have an issue. Booklist should not change. But we're not changing booklist, are we? We're pushing... Oh, is that because when you copy arrays like this, they copy each other unless you do that deep copy? Let's check quickly. Console.log booklist. I think that's the issue. Booklist before and booklist after. I think we're mutating still because you can't copy them like that. So before, what were we adding in the add? We were adding a brief history of time. So prior to that, there's no brief history of time. Afterwards, there is a brief history of time. Yeah, the reference is other. Exactly, Testistunus. I read up on that, thankfully, so I know what's going on here. I just got to remember how you stop it from doing that. Because normal variables, you can assign to another value, and they don't reference each other. But for arrays, I think objects do the same thing. Yeah, they do. So it's weird that normal variables won't reference each other. Like I could get away with it when I copied one value, like a global value, global variable value. That didn't reference. But arrays and objects reference each other. So there is a way, there's that deep copy method or whatever it was, but also it doesn't... Isn't push supposed to not mutate? Are we pushing here? Hold on. This is using push, yes. So push will mutate. What do we actually need to do? We need to add to that array. So filter won't mutate the array. It will just return a filtered array. So what is the opposite of filter then? In that sense. Wait, can't I just use filter again? This time we're checking for not book name. What does map do again? The map doesn't change the original array. I think that's what we need to do, right? I just can't think of how to use map because I've never used map before. I at least know how filter works, but map? We need array functions that don't mutate. Tricky. I'm sure this one works fine, because we're not mutating the array here. Did I need to do let return? Well, we can find out afterwards. We need to figure out how we're going to get this one working. Think now, think now, think now. We can't use push because that mutates the array. We can't copy the array and work on the array because that still mutates the array. It's map. But how do we use map? Is there like... If I type in map... Not that map. Calls the callback function one time for each element in the array. I would have to do function value again, right? Something like this, right? And what do I do inside of it? I need to add. For each item in the array, but do we want to... Hold on, hold on. That's not how that works, is it? So what if I did bookarray.map and I added book name to it? Would that work? What does bookarray give us? Apparently it's not going to tell us because we must have borked this up somehow. Book array, right, dot map, and then you call a function. You're supposed to pass a function in there, aren't you? But I'm passing a parameter. I just want to test something. If I turn this into an arrow function... No. And then I do... I'm just going to try this out of curiosity. I don't think it's going to work. But if I go val.push book name... Not even logging, which is strange. I wish this console would freaking tell me an error. It's absolutely useless. All I know is that when there's no output like now, there's an error. Something's wrong. Let return array equal to bookarray.map value, probably using map incorrectly because I haven't used it before. The syntax is right at least for opening and closing of the brackets. Let me console.log val. So I at least know what I'm working with, I guess. So what we're working with is, hold on, what else is logging here? You're logging. Stop logging. Everyone stop logging? I think so. So we're getting every book. So that's what... Why is it repeating? One, there's 2 repetitions. Why? Why does it repeat twice? One, two, three, four. Oh, because it gets called twice. That's why. So it gives us the entire array. Individually though. For each item. Now what's the difference between map and... Okay, yeah, I know what filter does, but then... So we mustn't mutate the array. As in, how do we not mutate? Hold on, doesn't the spread operator also copy everything? Hold on. Hold on. What if I do console.log, right? Book array. That should apparently give me nothing. And if I do what I think I want to do, which is this, that gives me the array. And then if I add book name to the end of that, oh, okay, okay. Then I could just return. So the spread operator shouldn't mutate, but we will get that value because we take everything and then we add book name at the end. Well, I guess we'll find out. There's only really one way to find out, right? And then this shouldn't mutate. Let's find out. Okay, we got somewhere. That is fine, but newer book list should equal the Hound of Baskervilles. Okay, what is wrong with the newer one? It seems the ones that use remove. The Hound of Baskervilles. Should return, so newer book list should return the Hound of Baskervilles, which it does. Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica, which it does. And Disquisitions. What the hell? It does. That one's newer book list. That is what it equals. The Hound of the Baskervilles. That one. And Disquisition. That's so confusing. Both of them equal exactly what it should be. A Brief History of Time. Both of them do. Oh. That is returning to that, isn't it? I got confused, didn't I? We're not returning return array, are we? Return array. And there you go. I still need to understand how returns work, because someone told me that if you return inside of a block scope, you return completely out of the entire function. But that's clearly not the case, because returning outside of a filter function or filter method returns into the block scope of the function that you're running it from. So as in, this doesn't completely exit the function. So I was right in assuming before where return will return to the previous block scope. So returning from here puts us in here, and returning from here takes us out of the function. Okay, so that worked. I'm happy with that. One liner at the top, which is really nice, using the spread operator. Cool. Let's uncomment their stuff and proceed. Use the map method, we just did, to extract data from an array. So far we have learned how to use pure functions to avoid side effects in a program. Also, we have seen the value in having a function only depend on its input arguments. Yeah, this is only the beginning. As its name suggests, functional programming is centered around a theory of functions. It would make sense to be able to pass them as arguments to other functions and return a function from another function. Functionception. Functions are considered first-class objects in JavaScript, which means they could be used like any other object. They could be saved in variables, stored in an object, or passed as function parameters. It's true. We did save them in variables, stored in an object. Let's start with some simple array functions, which are methods on the array object prototype. In this exercise we are looking at array.prototype.map, or more simply, map. Remember that the map method is a way to iterate over each item in an array. It creates a new array without changing the original one after applying a callback function to every element. The watchlist array holds objects with information on several movies. Use map to pull the title and rating from watchlist and save the new array in the rating variable. The code in the editor currently uses a for loop to do this. Replace the loop functionality with your map expression. Ooh, Inception! I knew it! Because we were like saying, what did we say? Functionception? Function. Interstellar, they're both amazing movies. The Dark Knight. Batman Begins, Avatar. Okay, see what they're doing. So, use map to pull the title and rating. Title and rating. So we're going to access an object. The IMDb rating, I assume. Shame. They're poor for loop. We could do better than that, can't we? So what's the array? Watch list dot map boop boop boop. Hey Glenn, how's it going? So nice to always see new faces. I guess it's also the time that I'm streaming. I usually stream later, so like... Where are you from, Glenn, if you don't mind me asking? Wrapping up for the morning. Okay, I see. Early morning people. I'm usually like streaming at the night. I'm more of a night person, so I find it really hard to focus in the day. I don't know why, it's strange. I just work way better at night, but then it's also kind of an issue because, you know, trying to get things done during the day, and I'd love a world where things are 24/7, you know, so that people like me can work at night and still bank and. Well, I mean, then again, you know, you got online banking, so that's not really an issue. But I mean, just general things, you know. You get shops that open 24/7, but I mean, like, movie theaters and more, stuff like that. If we just had a 24/7 world, that would be amazing. I think we're moving towards it, though. It's like 1 AM for me. Oh, okay, never mind then. So you're wrapping up for the morning in that sense. Okay. I'm guessing... Where does that put you? Like EST time zones, North America, right? "24 hours a day, 36 hours a day, 365 days." Man. West Coast, okay, nice. So what you busy wrapping up? You working on little projects, stuff for work, yourself? And I should probably log and see what value is. Still getting used to map. That's going to be an object, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we have 5 movies, I assume, in JSON format. So if I want a title, I would have to go val.title. Should give me the name. Okay, or not. Just give me. Don't even give me an error. Who needs an error? I don't need to debug. Okay. It would probably help if I, you know, actually use the case that I was in. Was working on some compiling JavaScript. Oh wow, okay, compiling JavaScript. How does that work? Like from Babel or something? JSON stringify is nice sometimes. Yeah, I haven't really worked with it. I've heard of it. Wonder how that would work if I did console.log val.json. Well, how does it work again? Stringify? Is it... Let me check quickly. The right way to call it. Oh, and then you have to pass the object. Okay. So... JSON... Who's Jason? I keep calling Jason. And then pass val. Oh, nice. So you get it as a string. Can you store like access, like val.title? Can you still do that? Oh, you can. So what is the second one then? If the first one is a string, I thought the second one returns a string too. So when I return val.title, what is that? Like what format is that? If I do type of, it is a string. That's strange. So why does it look different, at least in their output? If that type of is a string, then what is this type of? It's a string, but like a literal string. What? Compiling JavaScript to bytecode to be loaded later to make reverse engineering harder. Oh. Interesting. That's smart. Okay, I guess that's a thing that you have to do to like protect your intellectual property and all that. I gotta look into that when I get to that point. I've heard of all these things. Huh. So JSON stringify test with quotes will return test. Oh, escaped because you need to like literally pass it. So it escapes the quotes and then you get the literal quotes. But why why do I have the first one with oh, okay, you just explained it to me. So it's literally passing the quotes. It's literal. Whereas inception is a string in and of itself. It's just adding extra quotes to it, correct? That's basically all it's doing. Okay, cool. I'm following. Okay, so now that we know what it is, and what it isn't, what it is, we need title, and we need rating, and that needs to be pushed to our rating array. Like, individually? Together? Like, I'm confused. Use map to pull the title and rating. And save the new array. How do you want me to do that? Do you want me to do something like this? Like that? It's not called rating, is it? It's IMDb rating. I guess that's what they want. Inception 8.8, Interstellar 8.6. Not really useful for browser use though, can't access the V8 API there. Working on making more secure APIs for desktop application. Okay, cool. I had no idea that could be reversed. I thought, from the basic understanding that I have, you just pass a token, and then everything happens on the back end, so the API is never exposed to the front end, but clearly, or to the client, so clearly I don't understand that. Today was compiling all dependencies of a library into a single file, so that it loads in as few external resources as possible. A lot of optimization. That's awesome. So I take it you're not really doing, or are you doing the 100 days of code challenge? Or do you just happen to enjoy the topic? That's really cool though. That's awesome. So you and Testosterone are, you have something in common. Testosterone is doing their internship, and they're currently working on some Node.js API? I've been doing JS for 6 years. Wow. Okay. Do you still like get your, you know, like your little gotcha moments here and there? Do you still struggle? Does that ever go away? It gets better at least, right? Once you wrap your mind on the on how things work. Hey Virani. I'm early today, I know, I thought I'd try something different, but it's awful. I'm just like, I feel like I'm slurring in every sentence. Probably didn't help that I gymmed as well. But yeah, I think I prefer the afternoon evening stream. But I'm gonna try and see what works. I feel that I can get more done in the mornings as I wake up. Whereas in the evenings, I can only work on things I already know. If I'm trying to take something in new in the evening, it just doesn't really work for me. I just sit there and, you know, Pepper guest stream. I like this new schedule. You do or you don't? Why the sad Pepe? Like, do you or do you not like it? Still learning something new every day, pretty much, Glenn. That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard from people that have 10, 20 years of experience. They apparently still struggle. And I'm just like, okay. It's a bit reassuring, but I'm sure their struggles are they try to build insane things. So if they had to struggle with my type of struggle, they would just be like, whatever. Sad Pepper because you want to go back to late streams. Okay. Fair enough. I won't go. We'll see what works. Add your code. So where's my original code? That's... There we go. So I need to refactor this, my old code. Remember when I made that add event function? So that I can, instead of having to do document.getElement or query select to add event, like that super long way to add an event. So that's nice, but now we have a lot of them. So you know what I just realized? We can use... we can't. I was going to be like, we can use the spread operator again, so we can have an unlimited amount of parameters, but the problem with that is they follow a structure: class, type, function. So what we we could have 3 functions, helper functions like this, that have the spread operator. So we pass the one function all of the classes, the other function all of the types, and the last function all of the functions to run, and then those 3 combined, because they're all in one function, then call the single function add event. That way I would have only 3 lines of code instead of this many to define or add the event handler. But that's something to consider at another point. I'm not working on this project right now. I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll learn something new. That's why I want to do these studies, because like everything that I did here is based on the 30 days that well, I can't even say 30 days, because what, 15 of it went towards the other stuff. I've only been doing JavaScript for what, 2 weeks now? So everything that I have here is the knowledge that I've built in 2 weeks. So I'm sure if I get done with this JavaScript section and do the advanced projects, I can come back here with a bit more experience. I thought you were done with this project? No, I'm done with it. I just want to learn how to do things better, I guess. Because remember, I first like to get things done, and then I want to know how I can do it better. For example, I learned about mixin and modules today, and apparently I can make a mixin. So I've checked min value and I've checked max value. And I did do a mixin earlier, but it didn't make sense to me because they're static. I will only ever take a minimum value and a maximum value. They were saying like you can have a prototype, and let's say you had a method on that prototype, such as, I don't know, a color. Then for each prototype you can inherit and call that mixin. And I guess in that sense it makes sense, but for my case, creating a mixin for these two didn't seem to shorten things, because the mixin was called check value, so I'd literally have to go check value dot check min value each time and then pass in the element like that, instead of right now I can just do check min value element. So that part didn't make sense to me. Like, this one is way longer to run than that one. I mean, if I had more than 2 properties on that mixin, then check value would make sense because it houses all of the, you know, properties. But like I said, because we only ever have 2, it doesn't make sense unless I'm missing something. This used to be more or less how I would say hi in all the code streams. You have an anonymous function. Is that an anonymous function? That's the spread operator A? Is that supposed to like confuse someone? Is that an actual thing? Because it looks like an anonymous function, but you're not invoking it anywhere unless I'm reading it wrong. If you doubt it will run, try running it. Fair enough. I'd love to know what it does. That's a lot of closures. Holy shit, I'm lost. That. That it? Do you actually add the so you're using string literals? Missing semicolon? I don't think I'm missing one. Did I write that correctly? I think I did. Function A. Remove that space there. Console.log. I'm just gonna do it in a non-single line so I can just see what's going on. We're logging that. That is closed there. Yeah, that should be it. Curious. What is it gonna do? What? That's crazy. I doubt it will pass the linter. Yeah, no, that's fine. It still works in the console. You might want to close the parentheses. It looks like a self... Yeah, that's what I thought, Virani, but where are you invoking it? Because don't you usually have to, at the end of it, invoke like that? So how does this invoke? Because there's the anonymous function. Why did it add a space there? You know what I mean, Virani? How does it invoke? Is that the point? Is that what the string literal does? You invoke it with template literal as a parameter. Right, yeah. That's what I was thinking too. But what's with the A? What is A? And what is... Oh, is that... Of course! It's the string literal, because that's what you're logging. It has to be, Virani, because how else... The only log that we have is the spread of A. What? String.raw? We just got schooled, Virani. You fancy developers. Make us code newbies look. Static string raw method is a tag function of template literals, similar to the R prefix in Python or the @ prefix in C# for string literals. Yet there is a difference. See explanations in this issue. It's used to get the raw string form of template strings, that is, substitutions, e.g. foo are processed but escapes are not. Okay. Substitutions, so that's what you were doing. You were substituting there. What the actual... That's a template string. That's what we know. Huh. Did you just like stumble upon this or something? How does one even do that? Do you just like... So string.raw... This will give you high... Yeah. Won't that give you a new line? The character after high is not a new line character. Why? Oh, because it's raw, so it's going to give you the output as is, as in it's not going to process it. But yet the string literals work and are processed. That's confusing. Interesting. What? Look at this. T0, E1. How? Wow. Because it's an array-like object in that case. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Glenn. It's really awesome of you. Try just console.log, okay. So outside of... Inside of the log? Like this? Whoopsie. What? Wait. Evokes a log with template literal. So no brackets? That's crazy because it's raw. No ways, it's an array now. What the frick? 1? And then that's treated... Oh, because it's like an array, so comma. How are... But why is the third one an array? No, it's not. How are... The empty space is an array. The white space. Wait. Where's the U? Hi, how are... Where's the U? Is that the point? Where did the U go? Wait, because... Is it trying to evaluate this into something? They're passed in as additional arguments. Oh, so like how you would have log where you would have A, that, comma B, comma C. Is that what you mean as arguments? So they get each printed separately? Or am I misunderstanding that? Oh no, there's the U. Sorry, it was outside of the array. That is so interesting. Can I do type of inside of it? What is that going to be an actual literal? Yeah. But then, that being said, can I do type of directly? That's probably not going to work. I'm going to get an error, yeah. And will it process that? Interesting. But I can't do type of there because that's going to be a literal as well, isn't it? Oh, that comes outside of it. What? I am so confused now. What? Oh, because they're additional arguments. That's what you're saying. So anything in the templates go outside. Type of, comma, U. And then the blank space and the hi and the how are. Wow, my mind right now. But every now and then you find something interesting like that. You can also pass objects in there and they will remain as objects. Where would you ever use this? Is this what happens when you're a bit tired one day and you're doing console.log and you forget the parentheses? This would drive someone crazy. Like, can you imagine how much fun you just do this to someone? Just like have this as line. They're like, no, that's not valid. You're missing parentheses. Like, no, trust me. It works. It just works. And then just blow their mind because the output is completely not what you expect. How does it even get it to an array? How does it coerce it into an array? I get that as arguments, but once you take that away, how? How is this an array? Why does it think it's an array? How does that work? My mind right now, it's just... Wow. This is the thing I wrote using that? Oh, I see you using it there. Huh. Is this like React? This is React or... No. I haven't worked in it, but I remember when you work with tags like this. I'm not seeing any React specific Declarations might be a bit broken with my VDOM. Yeah, but I'm just seeing what you did here though. There you used that implementation. So you're saying generator.generator h1. So are you passing that as an argument? Is that essentially an argument here on this line? That's cool. Create text node. That's smart. Damn. Look at how I create nodes. It's horrible. This needs to be redone. To add sections dynamically, I'd literally create the element div, create the element p, create a text node title, stick that into there. Yeah, I need to redo this. Sorry, make it bigger for everyone else. I see you using spread there, and then reduce. I still don't understand reduce. I can't wait for the day that I do. I just don't get it. I know it's supposed to like smush everything. I at least get for each, which I didn't before. I get filter, which I didn't before. I just got map, so we're getting there. Small steps. One day I'm gonna understand reduce, but it's not today. May I post a older version? Yeah, go for it. Is that what you did? Is that what the purpose of the generator? To create DOM nodes? Pretty cool. Okay, so where were we? I was getting somewhere. I think this was good. I was creating an array, value.title, value.imdb rating. So all we need to do is add it to rating. So we go rating.push that. And that should be it, right? Run the tests. Nope. It has to be in JSON format? This always confuses me. Should equal. Oh, it's the actual full-on thing. Title, inception, rating 8.8. All I'm getting is title and rating. Damn it. Look what I have. Inception 8.8. How do I get it? I need the full-on, like... How do I do that again? Feel free to use this if you want. Thanks. At the very least, I'll look at how to implement better way to create them, because I wanted to create them dynamically. You see, it works fine when you need to create one node, but then obviously as I went on, I added more and more, and at that time it's like, cool, the code's working, everything's fine. There's no need for me to change anything. It's just, it would be nice to implement it dynamically. It's easier to maintain. Oh, I have to figure out how reduce works to understand this. But, do you have a constructor? DOM parser? Is that like a method that you call? I haven't heard of it before. Pass from string. There you doing your crazy literal thing again. So the raw string. Oh, there's a clone node. Yeah, I get map. Element, replace with, child nodes, return copy. That's cool. Thanks. I appreciate that. I may be a little lost. So watchlist is an array, but it contains objects. If I go watchlist.title, I get the actual value, but it's not in an array format anymore. I mean, I could technically do this, couldn't I? Can I do that? Can I wrap them? I can't do that, can I? That's gonna literally... I was thinking... Yeah, hold on, I gotta rethink this. Forgot a couple of helper functions. Did it update? Do you have to send it to me again? Oh, there you go, yeah. Oh, so it updates live, that's cool. Yeah, because I was wondering when you had resolve. That is cool. So it's like live collab, because I was using something else the last time. JS Fiddle's multi one, and that just did not work for us. So this is really nice, actually. When you can set all this, that's cool. That should be executable there. If you want to try, just feel free to copy and paste it into console. Is there no console here? Will that not... How do I invoke it? Greeting. Wait, if I just do... Will that not run? Usually they run. I'd have to, yeah, add the whole thing into the console. Ah, so it creates an H1 tag with the last child being coder. Oh cool, hello coder. Hello coder, sorry, it's the inner HTML and inner text. That's really awesome. Isn't this something... It's almost similar to React, isn't it? Like, I haven't seen much, but I know they gotta create tags and stuff. Almost like you generating your own little, like, React version. Copy and paste. The site is for sharing code, not running it. Okay, fair enough. But there was at least live collaboration, like I could see you working around in it. That sucks that there's no, like, running of the code. Almost, but React uses JSX and this uses template literals. Okay. Virani, are you learning anything? Is this exciting to you as well as it is to me? I definitely spent some time like off stream just going through it and trying to figure out what's going on. I would probably have to, yeah, because I know nothing about React. I know nothing about these things. Like, I'm still confused why people want everything in JavaScript. Like, have your empty skeleton in your HTML file and then, you know, modify the DOM from there. It just seems logical, but having everything in just one file in your JavaScript file, it's like, maybe I just don't get it, and maybe I will get it when I like work with React. But yeah, it's nice to have things separated, like your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript. Components are amazing. Yeah, they are, especially when you want to reuse things. I can't wait to get there. I mean, considering the amount that I learned today with just mix-ins and modules, that was exciting. I just don't see where you would ever use constructors and objects in that sense for standard day-to-day. Like, I could think of many uses if you're creating a game. That's always the go-to for me. It's inheritance and classes. If you're creating a game and objects and you want to have an enemy, like you create a archetype and then every enemy inherits those stats, like that would make sense. But outside of like a gaming convention, I can't think of a real world situation where, like, I haven't used it at least. Reusable segments of HTML that you can just plop in, yeah. With React it has to do with the VDOM, I think. Is that the virtual DOM? Is that what VDOM is? I haven't heard of that before. I know what the DOM is. And then the bomb. But yeah, back to my little issue. I need to return an object. Can I return an object from there? Or am I going to have to make an object now inside of here using object literal? I feel like I'm missing something right now. Virtual DOM, yeah, okay. That's a data model that represents DOM, and you can do diffing on it, so you have to update as little of the actual DOM as possible. Guess that is more expensive or something. Okay. Yeah, I realized when it came to, I was using, what was it? Do I still have it here? Then I can just show you. I think I do. Did I add it back in here? I did, yeah. So I'm working on a little Easter egg for my one project. And with a few sources, so if I zoom in a little bit, hold on, sorry, whoop. So if I go down here, we get like the little disintegration, and using HTML to canvas. It was very expensive because you can see here there's a lot of divs that get created, and there's the garbage collection in this container. It removes it, but if I had like multiple elements, like I could eventually freeze the browser just the amount of elements and modifying the DOM, because what happens is you obviously know how HTML to canvas works. It takes the image of like the text or whatever, then you can manipulate the elements, and then for every single element you animate the layers, and those all get hidden in the DOM. Yeah, exactly. And this is just for a single element. You can imagine I went crazy, and I can actually show you. I was working, I still need to redo this. The amount of testing that I did, every iteration was bad. This is like the best implementation that I got of it, because I just loved the whole, you know, Thanos effect and like the snap. So I was like, I know Google did it, and I followed like several sources. I think I directly took Google's source file for that, so like for the snap, and I just liked the way they implemented it. And then it seems you could do the exact same thing with HTML canvas, and then from there I was just playing around with the animation, and then getting it to destroy the elements afterwards was the hard part. So that at least works, and then I bring it back with a nice fade-in animation. So if I had... Wait, this was my disintegrate elements one. The current one that I have is for creator. Could also add a call in there for the links then, I guess, if I wanted the links to go. There go the links! Bye links! and you, all of you, go! But you can see right here, in the canvas container, do you see how many transitions get added? And then I call a cleanup function to remove them afterwards. But just, it gets insane, and the amount of writing and manipulating it does to the DOM. I've like crashed my browser before. I've used up like 2-3 gigs just for a few sections. So unless there's some optimization you have to do, it gets really expensive. You don't really remove one or two or add one or two, but you're adding and removing one or two components, as those can have child components, and down the rabbit hole you go. Yeah. Only problem is here with every frame. So like you see the animation here. Every frame gets animated and every switch gets changed. And I think that's where the issue is. But I mean, it works. Hey, it works. I'm only going to do it on one element. I had it like remove the entire web page before, which is pretty funny. That's what crashed it, because then I just do instead of doing sorry, back here, instead of doing footer element, I would do everything. But this will probably crash my browser right now. But hey, why not, right? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, it's still running the times. Oh. Okay. I think we timed out. Did I create the collection? Oh god, is it actually gonna run? This is the other issue, is getting... The most canvas I've had to load was 200-ish at once. I don't know what's gonna happen right now. What's my memory at? Oh god, 66%. 2.8 gigs so far, and it's climbing. 2.9, 3 gigs. Oh god. 3.1. 3.2. Good thing I have 32 gigs of memory. I can get away with things like this. But if this was like production for most people, they would just crash. Oh god. Going to 4 gigs. How do I jump so high? Holy shit. Is this going to execute at some point? So you know what I did there, essentially, right? I selected every single element on this entire page. Hey, it's working! Check, check, check! Oh, it's beginning! We're removing elements! The header went. What's gonna go next? Ah, the things I do to amuse me. Ah, there we go. It crashed. We were waiting for that. Surprisingly, it took long enough to crash. There was like over 11,000 changes right now. That's why. 11,000. Because every animation is at 120 frames. And there's like several hundred. Yeah, so, good days. That wasn't supposed to work, but I've had it work before. But we could just, like, for example, select every P element. That'll work. There goes that one. There go those. Come on, finish up. There they go. There they are. Oh, beautiful. Amazing. So, you know that JavaScript is asynchronous? Is that correct? The issue that I had is Google somehow managed to do one thing after the other. When I try to do that with set timeout. Okay, let me just show you. It's going to be easier. Let me just undo the change that I made here so I don't accidentally run it at some point in time. So I got a library to get true random maths, right? Before I was using the pseudo random, which does not work at all, which is math.floor, math.random times your max minus your min plus 1 plus min, right? That doesn't give you a true random because it's usually around average. So if I have 1 and 6, max, which is 6, minus min, which is 1, which is 5, plus 1, which is 6, plus min, you know, floor, like, it doesn't work. Because I'll get around 3, 3.5. It stays around there. Whereas this library, which is really cool, what was it called again? It was random. It was random.js, right? That library generates true random numbers. Like I can get anything between 1 and 6. Like I could get 1, 3, 5, whatever. Like it's amazing. The problem that I have is when I do set timeout and I call this function get random snap time. Let's say I have 5 things. It's going to repeat the same time. It's not going to do it individually. Promise. I haven't worked with promise, so maybe I need to wait until I get to there. Do I have one that I can show you? I think this one. So this is what I was doing. I was doing a set timeout. And then I set the value of set timeout to be get random snap time for each element. The problem is the snap time was the same for each element. So they all executed at the same time. What I want is, in plain simple English, let's say I want these elements to disappear. I want that one to disappear and that one in order, but they need to have a random time and they need to wait. The problem is you can't have the browser wait because then it'll like freeze up the browser, right? Because it's asynchronous. But I want there to be a variance between when things happen but still happen in order. So is that something that can be done? Because set timeout, all it does is it waits for that time and then they all execute at the same time. which is not what I want. I found that if I wrap set timeout in set timeout, that I can get like an effect, but I mean that's crazy. Then I'm just gonna have a set timeout in a set timeout in a set timeout for each item. And when I try to do an array for each, because array for each is synchronous, or is it asynchronous? I get confused. Array for each is one of those, but for the set timeout isn't. So when I did array for each, it did it for every single one at the exact same time. Are you implementing almost like batches sleep, huh? So sleep milliseconds, return new promise, resolve set timeout. Resolve, okay. You can use that with await in an async function. I'll have to look at that, yeah. Because then maybe that can solve the issue that I'm having. Because they either happen all at the same time. I just can't get them to be at random times. And in order, that's the other thing. So yeah, thank you. Once I get to promises, I guess that'll make sense. Because right now I only know set interval and set timeout. And there are so many different things I tried, from using set interval and incrementing by I, which is the incrementer each time. That worked, but it got exponentially longer because of I incrementing. So you can see here, I did function I, then I had a set timeout, and then it did its thing, and then I passed I back into the function. That was the one thing that I tried. The other thing I tried, which this one worked the best, was set timeout, and then the value was a random time times index plus 1, and obviously that would increase each time, but that's the one that got exponentially longer. In fact, if I bring this out quick and so check here in my console. Do you see the time here? Old, so 1, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6, 6, 3. I mean, yeah, it's better than the old random. Wait, did that? I was trying to explain it. So that goes. So that went. That went. That went. You see, it's a bit weird. And like there's a big delay. I want them to still go, but in sequence. They're going in random order now because of... That just came out of nowhere, like super delayed. Do you see what I mean? I want them to go in sequence, but one might be faster or slower. So this could be 200 milliseconds, that could be 600, but they still go in order with a random time. And yeah, I'll play around with the idea that you mentioned. Await in an async function. That's a new ES, isn't await ES8? Or does that exist in ES6? ES7, I think. Syntactic sugar for ES6 promise, right? Hey, Neodania. Down here. Good to have you. Add a code snippet to the bottom of the last code share link. Right. Apparently, like, even things like playing audio works on promises. And autoplay of audio is disabled, so you get a reject. That's interesting. Pending? What? No ways, that actually worked. Promise state pending, but obviously that state doesn't update, but it does run. That's crazy. So the one can be like longer than the other, that won't matter, and I can use my random function in there. Yeah, that, wow. That's so cool. How does it work? Obviously, because I get confused. It is asynchronous, right? JavaScript in general. Everything runs at the same time. So how does this affect any other function calls you do? Obviously, everything in here is blocked, right? So this doesn't execute till that's done, till that's done, till that's done. So if you had something in this function, it'll be affected. But if you had another function call, like what if I had function 1, right? Which is a normal function. And then before that, I had your sleep function. Would this not run until that's run? Because in JavaScript, both will run, right? But in this sense, runs instantly? Oh. That's to do with the promises, right? I remember something about that, the returns of the promises, if there's like a reject or something. I think the set timeout gets thrown on the event queue. Okay, is that why set timeout doesn't work? Whereas this function does. So is async like the actual thing you have to define, just like class as syntactic sugar? It's literally called async. So asynchronous means one at a time, right? Whereas JavaScript, sorry, is synchronous. So in this case, everything's going to execute one after the other. Oh, you do use, yeah, set timeout over there, right? Sorry, let me make it bigger so that you can see as well here. That's good. Yeah, no, I get the gist of it. Wow. So what would happen if you, because async, so a normal call, right? If I called a function like function 1 and function 2, they both run in parallel, right? Because it's synchronous. They run at the same time, correct? So what would happen if in the async function, oh, they'll do 1 and 2. What if there was a delay in 1? Would 2 not run until 1 is complete? In a standard synchronous environment, obviously. Because I want to know the difference between function 1 and function 2 versus what happens in an async when you do function 1 and function 2. What would the difference be there versus there? In and outside of async. Yeah. This is outside of a async function. This is inside of the async. Is function 1 async? Yes. So if it was async, function 2 would only run once function 1 is complete. Oh. Oh, so we'll return a promise, right. That's the point, so it doesn't keep it waiting. Okay. And what if it wasn't asynchronous function 1? What would the difference be then? Oh, that's the await you were talking about. Okay, so like how it works in general. Ah. So that's how you don't create that, like, it's basically you don't have like... So where does the return value go? If function 1 returns immediately with the promise, where does the value that we want go? Where does it resolve? Because that's the thing I'm like trying to wrap my head around. So let's say I had a variable. Okay, sorry. Because if I had let value equal to function 1 and function 1 was async, what would be the value of value? Would that hold the promise? And when would it update the value? When it's done? Return 1 plus 2 function 1 dot then. So what if we had something in here that made it take a bit longer to execute, such as our sleep function? And you say that async returns pretty much instantly, but it needs to wait. What would it return in that instance? You say it returns the promise. So does that promise like eventually update? So does the variable contain a promise and then eventually that promise gets replaced with the actual value, or? Okay, so let answer equal to await function 1. Answer strictly equal to 3. Well, I have to play around with that. Good thing I have this entire thing, and this definitely is going to help with what I need to do at some point in time. So thank you for that. I have an entire like section on promises and that, so I guess I'll get there when I get there. No! No! It's not going to save anything because of the silly shenanigans that I got up to. Is it? I don't think it's going to. Oh! Somehow they might use local storage. Do they use local storage? Is it somewhere? Have fun with the generator functions when you get. Thank you. That's gonna be like a different way to do React without React. That was really cool of you sharing that. I appreciate it. They did. I thought so. So they do use local storage. No system storage, just local storage. That's cool. Not that kind of... right. I need to do... They want title? Was it? Should be val dot title. Because that will be the object. What do they want it as? And then it... Why am I doing it in an array? I don't know why I'm doing it in an array to begin with. And then we can do IMDb rating. val.imdb rating. So then we get an object. Which I can't see. Function I let I equals here, well true yield JSON stringify. JSON.stringify. Show me. There we go. Thank you. That's going to be helpful, at least for debugging. It's silly that it shows that as an object. Like, yeah, I know it's an object. At least in the browser it would show you something different. Their debugger console, it's not that great. But that's what we want, isn't it? Why is it lowercase but theirs is uppercase? Why do they want theirs in lowercase title? But... what? Okay, I see. They just want it that way for whatever reason. And they want this to say rating, not IMDb rating. Title inception rating 8.8. So that should be all we need. And then we just return that value. Oh wait, we gotta push it, don't we? To rating. I assume they want it in there, so rating.push object rating equal to watchlist.map. Oh, I could just do it directly into the variable. You know what's so funny? This whole time we've been using let, and now they're using var. They regressed a little bit. I was only doing it down here because I didn't want to use their for loop, but you're absolutely right. I could just do it, and I'm gonna change the var to a let. Var has, yeah. Well, you mean for the global scope or what else? Because it allows you to overwrite variables. The whole point of let is that you can't do that. Let and const you can't. But if you wanted to do that, hoisting, yeah. I've seen that firsthand how that's useful. But that's about all, unless there's something more. I don't know why I was going to change that. Just do rating equal to watchlist.map. Then I don't need to do push. Wait. Did I... what did I... It's a little more loose. You do need a return though. Alright. So someone explained to me, I guess poorly in the past, I was trying to understand based on the scope of your function. They said that no matter where you return in the scope, you will return completely out of the function. So let's say this was a function, right? For argument's sake, let's say you had a function, this was wrapped in that, right? Now if I did a return here, apparently I would completely escape this function. But that surely can't be the case, because I figured out if you return here, you're going to return back to the map, right? So how do returns work in deeper levels of a function in a scope? So let's say if I was in an if scope, and I returned out of that if, would I be returning outside of the if or outside of the function that the if is in? No, you will escape the one passed into the map function. Okay, because it's a function. Oh, right. Because that, for all intents and purposes, is a function. So if I had an if inside of this function, or whatever scope that I'd be in, aside from being inside of another function or a closure, I would escape that function. Okay, so return will return out of the nearest function block. Okay, so only a function block. Nothing else, regardless of scope. Okay, that makes more sense right now. And are they happy with this? They are not. Your code should not use a for loop. I'm not even using a for loop. What are you talking about? I love when this thing glitches. I really do. It makes my day. Earlier I was getting an error for doing something that was working fine in my local environment. Where am I using a for loop? Please tell me. Is it because I commented this? Do you want me to like completely remove the comment even? Does a comment bother you? Apparently the comment bothers it. Wow. It's not... Wow. Yeah. They clearly were checking. At some point in time I'd love to get to the point where I can actually like commit, like push changes to correct these types of behavior. Because that shouldn't have happened. If it's uncommented, I usually like to leave the original code in and then afterwards change it up. So we should have passed. Okay. But that was good stuff. And thanks for the tips, by the way, Glenn. I really appreciate it. So this will be exciting. Map on a prototype. I don't think I've ever done anything on a prototype so far besides changing the super type and redeclaring a prototype. Implement map on a prototype. As you have seen from applying array.prototype.map or simply map earlier, the map method returns an array of the same length as the one it was called on. It also doesn't alter the original array, as long as it's a callback function. As long as its callback function doesn't, so no mutation happens. In other words, map is a pure function and its output depends solely on its input. Plus, it takes another function as its argument. It would teach us a lot about map to try to implement a version of it that behaves exactly like array.prototype.map with a for loop or array.prototype for each. Oh, I love for each. Note, a pure function is allowed to alter local variables defined within its scope, although it's preferable to avoid that as well. Write your own array.prototype myMap, which should behave exactly like map. You may use a for loop or the for each method. Okay. Okay, I have the answer on clipboard. Already, while I'm just reading it, you have the answer. Okay, let's try and figure it out first. So, you want me to create a map function? Well, map method. Why is there an underscore in the variable now? s.mymap function item return item times 2. MyMap is a prototype that it inherits. S So all I know is we need to do S. We need to get, is item what it's passing? S dot my map. Okay, S is being passed dot my map. Okay, so it's calling my map. So all I know is that we need something dot for each. No, we can't use map. They want us to create a map-like method on this prototype. And we can use for each. So for each requires an array in the front. Can I just do S? Because S is global. So I can access S like that. So S dot for each. Then yes, but that will more exactly define the functionality if you have any. Okay, right. Well, we need to try and figure out. Fair point. Creates a new array with the results of calling a provided function on every element. So every element aspect we've got of for each creates a new array with the results of calling a provided function. So where x would be x times 2. But what do they want us to do? They want us to basically do item times 2. We have new array here, and we have the callback. Item times 2. Is item being the array? S. It's passing S, so that entire array to my map with a function item. But this is what confuses me. What is item? Unless I'm like overthinking this. Or is that just the argument that it's passing to my map? All I know is to get for each to work, you need to have a variable. So in this case we could call it x. This is how we would write it. So that's the for loop. But now what do we do? For each item, I'm guessing... Because how do we know what to times it 2 by? Because what I'll do is x times 2. That would be for each element in S. So you would return, or in this case, new array dot push x times 2, right? That should then give you that value in that new array. Then outside of this you return new array. What is callback? Callback is item, but what is item? Am I just too tired to not understand this? Return item. So item is new array? Is that it? That's the only thing I could think of, because this returns new array. That passes in something. Callback not equal to item. My map takes a argument, callback. What is being passed to my map? A function. Oh, hold on, this is the function. So it's passing the entire function to it. Yeah, callback is going to be a function. I can see that already. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell return item times 2. What is item? I'm gonna assume... Oh, hold on. If this was an array for each, item would be the value of array for each at that specific one. That is what it is. Okay, I get that, but now... when in doubt, console log. Yeah, I get what it's doing. This would be the same as if it was an array for each or my map. Well, map. It's just, how do I get this to work now? For each... Every time you call my map, item needs to change based on for every item in that element. Okay, hold on.
SMOOOOZ is following the family.
Welcome to the family. Smooth, is it? Okay, now that I understand, this is the equivalent to map. This is how map would work. That's the prototype here. This is a function. We're passing this function into that. That's basically the callback. Oh. So if I did... We're still gonna do that. Would I then do callback? Because we need to return that, right? It would be callback. Then instead of that, we need this, right? Because it's a prototype. This dot... Wait, it's an array. So it can't be this dot. Is it this x? Right? Because callback's the function. We need it because that's why I got confused now. It's completely different. It's a prototype that we have. And you need to use this. X. X being the for each. Return new array. See what happens. New s should equal 46, 131, 96, 10. I think the solution is much more clear with a for loop. What are we getting right now? What is the issue right now? Not a number. What is x? X should be the numbers, right? Yeah. So x is the number. And if I do console.log this x, and it can't be this dot x. It's not a property. It has to be this. But you can't get this. Why wouldn't this x work on the property itself? You get a blank, whatever the blank is. for each syntax. What do you want me to look at? Because I know how they work. I know what X is. But you need to return the... you have to use the this keyword, don't you? If it's on a prototype. Because if you just... Wait, do I need this? Hold on. Do I need this? What if I just... Return callback, X. We got something though, didn't we? 46, 130. What is it doing? 23 times 2 is 46. What do they want in return? 46, 130, 18. But... What?! It's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, what are the arguments of the for each callback function? What are the arguments of the for each callback function? Okay, you lost me. The argument of the for each callback function, which one? The callback function is this function, which takes item. I got the values at least. Explain this to me. When you got item times 2, we get the values that they want, yet I fail. What arguments does for each provide to the function you pass into it? Well, the first argument is the... Oh, return, you're right. I logged it out, so I had it right this whole time. God damn it. The first argument that it returns is, well, the given element. So the elements in order. So if you had 3 of them, it would do 3 passes, and it would be each element. The second one is the iterator, or the index. The third... Can't remember the third. I'd have to look it up. But the second is the index. Third is the array that it was called upon. I'd never used the third one. First and second I've used. Wait, so have I got it? I actually have. I had it. I just, yeah, the return. So what did you want to specify with the the for each? Could I have done something differently here? So your solution array.prototype.mymap. You have the emoji there, but I see a CB. Let new array for, so you did a for loop. Interesting. Why did you opt for a for loop? New array.push, which I've done. Callback this at that index, so I could just use X. And then you're using, oh, and I at that index, this being what you passed in. Interesting. That, yeah. How is it that I could avoid using this in this specific case for the prototype? Usually you have to use this. How is it that X just works? Before we get the whole X, gonna give it to you. That is what's confusing me a bit right now. Is it because of the way that we're doing this? Because we're passing a function in? You would normally have to use this, but we didn't have to use this. It just works. You used S. It works for that one test case, but will fail all others. Oh, is it because I hard-coded that in? Right. So instead of calling callback, what you're saying is I should be using this X I and this, but then I'm gonna have to pass I in here or change I to index. It's easier to read that way. So this X index this. For correctness by specification, I pass those into the callback. Doesn't quite... Did I mess something up? Oh, what can I call it on for each? Yeah, I think that's why you wanted to use the for loop. If I still wanted to use for each, can I? Oh, so I could just call this on that, right? Because this is item and item is S. Oh. Wow, sorry. It's calling S on my map. And that's being invoked, so that'll become this. So that's S. Or that function. That is confusing. This usually refers to itself in the prototype. So if you had a property X, you would say this.x, and then it would inherit that, but then how does the this and this one work? Wait, it doesn't even work anyway. Do I need the this here? Because if I could just do X index this and this there. Nope. Do you see anything wrong here that I'm missing? This is the array, so this index is the same as X in that case. Okay. So I could have it X, yeah, but it's still not working for some reason. Let me... What is it returning? Nothing, just an error. You're not calling callback in the new array.push. Oh right, you did callback. I'm really gonna have to like wrap my head around this to understand how or why. Callback is the function. You're giving the array, but for each value it becomes item, then item times 2, you're returning that. That I get, cool. It's just so confusing. It's like a function and a return in a prototype. I think it would be fine if it wasn't in the prototype. I think I would get it if it was just a normal function, but I think the prototype is what's confusing me a little bit more now. This what I'm used to is you have this dot color equal to color, right? If you had like your object. This referring to the property of the parent. The child being whatever you passed in when you created or instantiated that object. How the hell does this work in this case? What is this here? Oh, is this the callback? No, what is this in that case? This for each. How is this the array? Because to get color, you say this dot color. This is the, yeah, but I'm trying to understand how. Like, to get color, you would do this dot color so that it inherits color. If I just did this, what is this? Oh, is this the entire object? So if you had to just do this without anything, this would be the entire object, wouldn't it? The parent. Is this like this, literally the S? You can assign directly to this. So because of the S, you cannot assign directly to this, okay. Okay, just help me understand. The only confusing part left is where is it getting the array from? I know that S is the array in this case, but how is it physically getting into my map? My map is a function. It takes a callback. The callback is the function. So if this wasn't in the equation and we're just passing item, I would get that. But how is S getting in there in the first place? I get that this is the function. That's callback. My map is the method on the prototype. S has the prototype of array. Array.prototype.mymap is a function. S has the prototype of array. How? Oh, because S is an array. Does this only work because array.prototype? Holy shit. So that's the exact same way. Because map is array prototype map the same way as array.prototype.forEach is. So it's the only reason it's working because the type is an array and you're extending basically the array class or parent, if you will. So if I change this to anything else, it wouldn't work. So the type, oh, that makes so much more sense now. Because this is a type of object. Because arrays are objects, but it's an array in that case. So because of array.prototype, we're adding a new prototype called myMap. So you can actually do that. You can make your own for each. So that's all they did in JavaScript was literally extend or add a prototype to an array. So map is a prototype of array. That's like, whoa, my mind is just blown right now. Thinking about it from that perspective. Wow. The var s equal to new array does the same as line 2. Right, yeah, because you're creating a new array object. Yeah, I get that it's an array object. I just didn't understand the whole extending, if that's even the right terminology to use, of array being the main object. You're adding a new prototype to array called myMap. So the only reason this works is because S is of a type array. So S will inherit. That's what I didn't get. They use the stupid, like that's why I wish they used real life examples. They use the stupid things like dog and animal and stuff, which you're never going to use. Not once do they use array, because that would have made sense now. It just clicked for me now. S is an array. Its type is an array. If I did instance of, is it instance of? How does instance of work? Do I have to pass it in like that? Oh, no, you don't do anything. It's just instance of. Was it not instance of? S? Oh, I have to say instance of. S instance of array. It returns a true or false. Yeah, there you go. So it is an instance of array, whereas is an instance of animal. We don't even get a false? That's weird. And then what was the other one? S type of? No! Type of S. Object. Because arrays are objects. What else was there? There was instance of. I don't remember what else. But yeah, anyway, that makes sense. Do not read the entire source code. S.constructor, yes, that's what I wanted to check. What is your constructor? Array. There it is. That makes so much sense now. That's why I don't like moving on from things until I actually get it. I do. What do you want me to look at on Animator? Do not read the entire source code so I don't go crazy. Do they do something here like callbacks? Why didn't they return this dot element? Why? Oh. Function element. This is a bit of a mess, but it does a lot of interesting things. Is it yours or someone else's? This is my code, so you could say you. So I could say I? Do the underscores actually mean anything, or is that just a way to specify that it's a constructor? Or whatever was referred to, because I saw that often, and underscores on each side of something. Because I never liked that, the underscores. It denotes a private variable. Okay, does it actually legitimately work like that, or is it just like syntactic sugar for whoever's writing? Okay, so it's just for you to know, hey, this is a private variable. The JavaScript doesn't actually do anything with the fact that it's underscore. It's just for you to identify. Okay, more or less agreed upon. For private variables. Oh. So any variable that can't be accessed from the outside. So back to my code. So wouldn't all of these have underscores? Like links container? Well, technically if we were following standard, this would be links container! If I could spell today. That looks awful. Because it should be all caps, shouldn't it? Nope, they are inherently inaccessible. So when would I use an underscore? Yours is also inherently inaccessible, is it not? They pass on a value. This. So whenever you use this, why? This dot underscore options, for example, is inaccessible, but so is my variable links container. You can't access it. Can you? You can't. That is not a function but a constructor. Oh, are you saying only in constructors the agreed upon standard is to use underscores for variables that are private? So any variable, not just with this. Okay, hold on. Then I can give you an example. I've got a constructor here. So here's my constructor. So you saying this dot day should be this dot underscore day. But it looks so ugly. I don't like that. It looks so much nicer. Wait, it's even giving me errors? Oh no, it's probably because they're... Wait, unexpected dangling. That's a Why are you dangling? That's an actual thing. Let's read up on it. Why? So, no underscore dangle. There's actually a long... Wait. As far as naming conventions for identifiers go, dangling underscores may be the most polarizing in JavaScript. Dangling underscores are underscores at either the beginning or end of an identifier, such as underscore foo. There's actually a long history of using dangling underscores to indicate private members of objects in JavaScript, though JavaScript doesn't have truly private members. This convention served as a warning. This began with SpiderMonkey adding non-standard methods such as... The intent with the underscores was to make it obvious that this method was special in some way. Since that time, using a single underscore prefix has become popular as a way to indicate private members of objects. Whether or not you choose to allow dangling underscores in identifiers is purely a convention and has no effect on performance, readability, or complexity. It's purely a preference. Okay. So basically some people started doing it and then some other people wanted to do it as well. But you should just know. You can just look at it and know if it's private or not. Okay. Dangling. Well, what about someone else reading the code or consuming a library? Wouldn't we assume that everyone should know that the variables inside of a constructor are private? Like, surely everyone should know that? Like, I mean, I'm still doing the course and I know that. A well-established developer should know that. Nope, never? Never what? That is not true in many cases. Okay. In what case, for example? Line 248. Let me see if I can find that. Line 248. This dot element, element this dot animation, this dot current, this dot reset next, not continuum. Some properties you may want to be public, such as x, y in vector 2. Vector 2? Where's vector 2? Oh, sorry, language. What were you trying to show me here though, in this case, where there are no underscores? Where other places did use underscores? Oh, I see, because those get sent out, whereas these aren't, they're internal. This animation start time, this start time. But how is line 247 any different to line 41? Where this is private, but you're still assigning it a value to the object that is going to inherit it, which is going to be keyframes, right? Line 41. Then how is line 247 different? In that this dot element is element. Was there something I'm missing that you were trying to show me? This intent is that can and is meant to be accessed by a user. It's not temperamental at any rate. Right. But that means you will get this. But then what about keyframes? Can that not be accessed? Won't that be inherited? Oh, that's cool. The scroll. I like that. Animate things. I also like the bar at the top. I've always liked that. Like, certain web pages have that. Does it go right to the end of the content? Is that part of it? The bar at the top? Or is that just a showcase to show you how far you are from the end? That's really cool. Both. Delayed animation is an internal object and is not meant to be interacted with. Okay, so you're extending another constructor or something? Or just another constructor was accessing it? Oh wait, is this a closure in something? I can't tell. No, that's there, that's there. No, it's just a function. Okay, so it's like a helper function for something else. The entire file is wrapped in a IIFE. Oh, I covered that earlier. It's basically self-executable, right? So at the end you have like... Yeah, there you go. Line 486. Something accesses it. Okay, return. Okay, I get you. So just for peace of mind and clarity to know what is what, if it's underscored, it's meant to be used internally for your consumption to make it work. Whereas if it didn't have an underscore, that's meant for a user to like create an object. Okay, that makes sense. So in my case, this is used for a user to create an object, so they should be underscored. They're not really used internally. Whereas here, this .title, I'm using it to build a link array. That is a method which is not supposed to, well, it's not supposed to be called by a user, so then that would become this underscore title, right? And this would be this underscore URL. Okay. Cool, fair enough. Well, thanks for pointing that out. Thanks for pointing so much out. I really appreciate it. And all like the snippets, the code bits, that's really going to be useful. And for sharing your work as well, that's really cool. Both of them. The components and the animator. It's really cool. Ian. And your drop down? There's nothing there, so it's just the attributes. You just have like an empty repository. Must have forgotten to push. Fair enough. That's really cool. There's no readme! Ian! What have you done? Need a readme. It's a GitHub project after all, isn't it? The playground link if you want it. Right. Should add the link to the actual demo page in here. I did a wait, mono.github.io. There it is. No, that's the actual log formatter. This was a little project I did for the 100 days of code. That was the bits of code that you were seeing. It's basically just for you to like enter your progress and like whatever. I was really cool with this because I often make this mistake where in the title I paste the URL. So with a bit of regex checking and stuff, if you enter a URL in the title, it like gives you a warning. Just like heads up, like, hey, are you trying to enter a URL instead of a title? I am. And there's a link, and then you click on format input, and then basically you get the output in GitHub Markdown. Just to like save people time from having to do like the formatting. So that was like my first project that I made with the skills that I learned, front end and back end. And I was like really happy with it. So there's like a whole GitHub page for it. I think it's that? Yeah, there it is. Log formatter. So like I did some basic usage and that. Still trying to figure out what the best way is to like do readmes. So I tried. I feel the usage part is like the most important on how someone should use it. And I learned how to do tags with Git. The problem is GitHub allows you to have an editor when you do the tag, and I accidentally did it via the command line. I added a tag, but I didn't realize that you can add an optional, keyword optional, description for the release. And yeah, that was surprising. So now I have a release, which bothers me a little, that it has no description at all. It's amazing. Luckily, if you check the commits that it's attached to, you have an idea what it is, which is basically just the initial release. But that's something to keep in mind in the future. Either that or draft a new release. You see, this is nice. Then you can add the version 1.1.0. You can set the target, which is the master or the develop branch if I had one. I can give it a title. I can describe it and then publish it. Like, this is nice. But obviously you need to also know how to work from the command line. And yeah, that was something new for me. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. And I'd love to get key signing working, because I use source tree, and apparently you have to play around to get the keys signed. Not as simple. Because I prefer working with the GUI, the GUI. But I'm also gonna have to get into the actual command line at some point, aren't I? That's an apparently Vim, for when you don't have the luxury of working with an actual editor. But yeah, cool. So this was fun. This was exciting. We managed to pass this section. Hold on, I was typing some things. Did we pass this section? How far are we on functional programming? I don't think we're that far. Not even halfway. I feel it's gonna get like increasingly more complicated. Reduce. Oh, yes, the bane of my existence currently. Oh, great. At least I'm gonna have to figure out how it works one way or another, huh? Use the every method to check that. Currying? I heard of currying. No idea what that is, just heard of it. That's fun. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna end things off for here for now because I'm struggling to focus. That's on me. I've had like 2 hours of sleep in the past 34 hours. Gymming was probably not the best of things. Yeah, it kept me awake this far. I think if I didn't gym, I would be dead. So I'm surprised that I managed to get this far, honestly, and understand things. Took me way longer. So I think tomorrow, get an early night tonight, start off early tomorrow with some actual sleep in. And Glenn, function A, return A. No, more of these things, but you're not even using a string literal this time. Are you trying to confuse me? Is that an actual thing now? You know I'm curious and I'm gonna try it. Content will go here. Look at MDN, this is funny. Header, content will go here. Who did this? Is it because it's dynamic? That's funny. Content will go here. I love checking the source sometimes. Oh, that's currying? Really? That's currying. What does it even do? I don't understand. Am I gonna understand when I do this? Wait, is this not actually gonna do anything? Do you have the full stops in there? Is that just an example? Function A. What the? Wait, can you pass things into the parentheses? Or not? Did I put like an X there and a B? Oh. What are the empty parentheses for? Fuck. I have so much to cover. Currying. It works somehow. Then again, I was pretty confused when I saw the spread operator. That was the first. It's like, wow. It was like, what? Let this variable and that variable equal to the array or something? Was it like that? And then you get A and B if they exist in the array, and you can even set default values if they don't have something. So like this could be null. Well, it would be null anyway, wouldn't it, if it doesn't exist? So there's many new conventions that ES brings out. Currying just happening to be one of them. That's fun. We're gonna be covering it though at the end of this. So possibly tomorrow or the day afterwards. I think I should be able to finish this tomorrow. And then on to the actual challenging stuff. The intermediate algorithm scripting. Which is going to be fun. It's kind of like little projects. And then we're going to be doing actual projects, which I'm excited for. Surprisingly, the advanced algorithm stuff seemed to be more complicated than these the projects. I don't know, like I know I could do a cash register. Like knowing what I could do now, definitely I could do a cash register. I could definitely do a telephone number validator. Caesar cipher, I'm not quite sure what they want. A Roman numeral converter, easy enough. Because it's just the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all you need, the V and all that. That's easy enough. Palindrome checker, I don't know. Like, I hardly know how they work, so those two I'm not sure, but these three definitely. Okay, here, function A, B and C equal to 0. Console.log B plus C. Oh my god. Carrying, Interesting. Apparently they asked that in job interviews. And then you get asked to make a login form. I guess they gotta know the big words. It's almost like recruiters get told by developers what to ask. Or they just hear it somewhere, like, oh, that's the big thing. Yes, currying. Okay, we're gonna ask you if you know how to do currying. But you're never gonna do it. That'd be quite sad. That's why I want to eventually get into game development. Because at least I'll be making a game. They wouldn't be asking you to make a login form. Right? Or making coffee. And I mean, how? If I'm getting paid a developer salary to make coffee, then why fucking not? But yeah, every other developer out there, shame. If it's not game development, then that sucks. But yeah, thank you for all your help. Is it Glenn? Glenn too? Can I refer to you as Ian? Thank you for all your help. I really appreciate it. There's a lot for me to go through. The async stuff especially. Though I'm also that's gonna be covered soon anyway in this course, so I'll catch up. Good luck with this one. Is that a question? Was asked this JavaScript interview question. Is this even possible? Write a function add subtract that will do the following. Add subtract 1, 2, 3. Wow. Are they just trying to literally make it as complicated as possible to like test you? I feel that they don't actually want you to do it. They just want you to like problem solve. Like think about it. But yeah, that looks similar to the currying that you were showing me. I remember being asked an overly complex question and asked for more clarity. Oh, we don't know. The director put it on the test. Yeah. Nope, how do you get the number out? Oh. Okay, but surely you should have... Yeah, well, fuck them. And just... If it's impossible, it's impossible. Well, what do you expect to do? Wow. words I've never even heard of before. Arity and variadic? Non-variadic? I ended up with a solution that blocked the main thread and was several hundred lines where it would fetch the file you call it from, then figure out how many arguments there were and return another function that would grab that many iterations, then perform the operation. In other words, unnecessarily complicated, just to try and figure out how smart you are, and you're never... Yeah, I don't get the point of them doing that. I honestly don't. I mean, good luck to them if that's how they weed people out, but yeah. Oh, and you have to use an old version of WebKit to use... Great! Well done! Dependencies. Dependency hell. At face value, the question is really simple. Sure, it's the implementation, right? I guess that's why they want you to... Yeah, but... troubleshoot. I think the person asking did not really think about it. It was the director, quote unquote. In what world is this obscure nonsense a valid interview question? Oh, I love this. Anyway, I need to be off. Animator.js is really cool. Good job on that. Well done. Looks fun. Before I go, you want me to pull an object out of a template literal using the string.raw function format. Is this like a test now? Okay. To use on my existing code. Oh! Okay, you went obscure nonsense. I thought you were being serious for a moment. It's like you wanted me to see how that works. Yeah, that's not even... I thought you wanted me to do the whole thing you did earlier. Because you said when you use like the template literals, it still it preserves the object. That's where my mind went to. Sorry. What reasonably is the practical use of that, right? Just to test you, just for the fuck of it. Why not? I just want to remember that before I go, because that was crazy. I want to do current user dot. Do I have date? I have date, I think, right? I think date. Yeah, date. So help me understand the string.raw. If I've got current user.date, how do I output that? So it's console.log without that. But I can't do that, can I? That's gonna literally give me a literal string. I got the array. Wait, I literally got the array. I got the array though. No, I didn't get the array. So the output when you do it that way creates an array, but that's a string. So everything when it's raw is an array. So I'd have to use a string literal. Why can't I? Oh, because date's empty. That's so cool. So it preserves it, but it puts it at the end. I'm still confused by this. Why does it make everything array? And what are the blank values in there? The first two. Where's it getting the blank from? Is it that and that? Or where's the blank coming from? First argument is the raw array, and then the template parts are additional arguments. Yep, okay, right. Fair. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I'm gonna definitely confuse some other code newbies with it. It's like, you see the one caveman doing something, and then you're like, oh, I like this, I'm gonna go do it. And then you go and attempt to do it and like impress your peers. Oh, they probably know about it already. That's crazy. Yeah, like this alone, I've still got your original one. It's like, it makes no sense to me. And yet it works. If I had to tell someone that this will print, hello, Deadmana does code, they would think I'm mad, especially because it's outside of the console log, and you spreading A. I only learned about it a few months ago. Fair enough. Are you on Twitter, Glenn? Because if I make a post about it, then I can just attribute it to you. Nope. Okay. Fair enough. I'll still refer to you though. And this part is just, wow, blows my mind. These will be at the end, literals, and these will be raw. I will do so, Glenn. But yeah, thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. And yeah, to everyone else, thank you for dropping by. Thanks to the new followers. And Glenn as well. Welcome. Now you're also part of the Matrix. Oh, that's good. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow after I get some much needed rest, so I can stop slurring and understand things far better. And yeah, hope you have an incredible one. Good luck with everything else. Good luck with your projects. And until next time, bye for now.